Hello and welcome to Candid Convos with Jona Dance. My name is Monique Jonas and I'm the founder of Jona Dance and your host for today's episode. Here at Candid Convos, I have the wonderful pleasure of being able to invite some beautiful guests working across our industry, and they get to discuss with me, and maybe sometimes just offer their own thoughts, about the ins and outs, the ups and downs of our dance world here in the UK. And with that, I am super excited to welcome the lovely Jamiel with me today. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I've been looking forward to this. I was super stressed about what to wear because everything on your site and stuff super trendy, super cool. And I actually, this morning at the team meeting, I said, guys, do you think I should wear a blue suit or do I go dressed down? Do I go with the kind of fashion week stuff?
Fashion week?
Yeah, I couldn't decide what to go with in the end, but I hope you're happy that I've made enough effort here. My wife was like, get the blue suit on.
Really?
Yeah, dress it down with a t-shirt and chuck some trainers on. I was like, okay, got it.
Your wife gave some really great advice then. I kind of love that you're in a suit.
She is literally my rock. So,
I love that. I really love that. Yeah, no, we've only done one London Fashion Week thing, but I do have a really wonderful designer who made that, Judy Collins. So yeah, the website is doing some really amazing things.
Website's great. What is it? jonadance.com.
It is jonadance.com.
You've got to plug it. That's what this is all about.
Go on. This is why you're here. This is why you're here, to plug it. But before we get into it, I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Sure.
Just tell us a bit about who you are, who's Jamiel, you know, what's your journey in dance, a nice summary of who you are and how you arrived to be here on this couch today.
So my name is Jameil Devernay-Laurence. I am the founder and artistic director of Ballet Nights. I'm also one of the founders and the executive artistic director of Fundamentally Dance, which more and more people are becoming aware of. What I do is all about collaboratively achieving new audience experiences in dance worldwide.
Amazing. Although
titles are a bit limiting, I don't really know what my title will be in a few months' time, let alone a few years.
It's quite exciting though.
Well, I'm waking up at 6 a.m. and going to bed at midnight every night with my team most of the time.
Wow.
On Google Meets, and other options are available. Trying to figure out how we solve the problem of more dance. How do we create more dance experiences, more dance output, and actually building an ecology that could stand alongside Premier League football and Formula One racing and you name it.
Yeah.
We want to do it.
What about your personal dancing journey? Like before you started becoming executive director and creator and producer and all of these other things?
Yeah, it is a personal dance journey and it's not something I talk about very often anymore. So I was a dancer at Scottish Ballet. I ascended to soloist, which was kind of, go out and do a solo and then get your applause and go home. A sort of a flexible and adaptable company member, someone that could do a solo, get back in the core and help fill a gap, but also every now and then be given these kind of principal leading opportunities.
Amazing.
It's where I met my wife. It's where I kind of did at that time what felt like my life, made a lot of big decisions. And I left that to become a freelance choreographer and filmmaker. I've made some films with BBC and some other places. I used to be supported by Apple to make mobile films before it was cool. Yeah, I was making stuff on my mobile before it was a thing.
But wait, pause, because we're not going to skip over that. Like, that's something really casual. Like, how on earth did that come about? Did they approach you? Was it something that you reached out for? Like,
no, I wanted to break the cycle. I had a very difficult journey into creation, which is everyone kept telling me I wasn't allowed to do it. Not allowed, but I wasn't in the right place at the right time, or I didn't meet the criteria.
Okay.
And the thing I was coming up against, which we're going to talk about, I think, at length in the context of Ballet Nights, is if you want a work on stage, you need to show me an example of a work on stage. And I couldn't work out how to break this cycle. And I had my phone in the studio. I naturally was running around to kind of get angles that I wanted to see on things. And a friend of mine who's a wonderful filmmaker said to me, that's very filmic. Have you considered getting a stabilizer? And it just, one thing led to another. I kept building more onto the camera or the phone until it ended up basically being bigger than a mainstream film camera.
Got you.
With big stabilization. We did some running down beaches, running through the BBC HQ at Pacific Quay in Glasgow, running around a warehouse, always running. All my films, running. Well, actually, you'll see all my films start with walking or running.
Can we still see some of these now?
Yeah, all at jameillawrence.com, embedded somewhere in the film section.
Understood.
It's a part of me I've left behind for now, but carries through to the kind of top grade video production that we do on Ballet Nights and upcoming productions as well. So I've hung on to the sort of key elements without making the commitment that I will be a filmmaker. So I ended up being a director for an educational organisation that trialled its first graduate company in Wales. In a single year, we did a Nutcracker.
Rubicon?
It was called Rubicon Dance, doesn't exist anymore as a company, but still there doing great work in the educational space. But we did full-length Nutcracker, we did a triple bill, we did a schools tour to, I think, 1,700 kids. We did a big impact there, and I got to meet Princess Kate and Prince William, which was cool, and talk about her daughters passing her grade 2 RAD, where I was kind of like, well, yeah, it is the Royal Academy of Dance, but we won't, I won't get into it, Kate, no worries. And then that all came to an unfortunate end, really, which, long story short, there's no money left. And I started to understand that the way to get ideas coming to fruition is actually a lot less about emotional sensation, and actually in the spaces I was moving, very much about product market fit. Okay. And that's a kind of new terminology over the last year, starting to understand what will and won't get backing.
I mean, you can hear it in how you speak as well. You're very business-minded, very entrepreneurial-minded. But what's your favourite personal memory from either like dancing or your time, I don't know, creating for Apple or all of this type of stuff? Like something that you think of that's like brings a smile.
Obviously, the big one for me is the love story tied to my dance career, which is my wife, who's, everything to me, and an experience that is so rare to be able to spend nearly 13 years touring together, traveling together, seeing the world together, lots of hard times together, lots of great times together. And it's funny, we have this strange connection where just as I stepped out on my own shortly after, it wasn't on the cards at all, but it's something she then did afterwards, now working in TV with Amazon Prime after being a principal ballerina. So it's an ongoing happy memory, and it's the one place I come back to celebrate on the regular.
I mean, it's exciting. It's a beautiful story of like how it's, it started within dance.
In fact, so my wife, Constance Devernay-Laurence, she was the very first proper ballerina I saw. Okay. So I'd been at school, I'd been at college. We'd seen some shows or whatever, but that was the first time in my audition for Scottish Ballet. She's on the floor in splits, reading the Metro, looking at me like there's another one of these silly college grads, which she was only 6 months previous, Sure. Yeah, I think I just couldn't believe it. I was like, that's a real ballerina. And I met many more real ballerinas, but she was the first.
But she caught your eye straight away, would you say?
I just knew, listen, it's a whole other podcast, but immediately I was like, that's my wife. That's
no way.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you were sure?
Everything that had happened up from that point jump seemed a little bit, it's a feeling you can't really describe, but
fair play.
Day one, that was the person.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Come on. Industry romance, that's amazing. Okay, cool. We're going to stay on the sort of personal side just a little bit. We're going to do a quick fire this or that, but like contemporary dance edition.
Oh.
I was inspired by Biscuit Ballerina / Queen of Contempt. Not the
Not the contract.
I was teaching this morning and I literally had all of them contracting for their lives. So don't think about it too much. Just think which one you would prefer to go to. To work in theatre or work on set for film. You can't say both.
I'm going to say...
Just personally.
Theatre.
Okay, fine.
I feel like someone's going to hold me to account and say, no, you're not entitled to this experience. You chose theatre, no film for you. Yeah.
Okay. Would you prefer to choreograph but not perform what you've made, or perform but you don't get to choreograph what it is you're doing? I know.
Monique, what are you doing to me?
What do you mean?
Oh, both sound great. I mean, for the reality of where I am, choreograph.
Okay. And that's your preference? Not the reality where
Do I
you
have
are?
Infinite legs and body that can just be absolutely on command?
Sure, why not?
What, at my absolute peak max?
Yeah.
I'd like to dance good choreography. Can I say that?
Oh, shots fired already. There are shots fired already. Okay, I've been asking all of my guests this. Are you team socks or team bare feet? Why do you look so
questions
shocked?
were created in a Well, it depends.
It's very dance specific.
I do like a slide, so especially if I'm making, let's go socks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Most people have said that. I'm still out here rooting for team barefoot, but I think that might
You can still slide in bare feet, but obviously you sacrifice you've had this leather sort of, it depends, I guess.
Leather.
Yes, it's leather underneath your foot.
Of your foot, just the solid. Anyway, a solo or a group piece to dance in?
Oh.
Like dance a solo or dance in a group piece?
The ego, I'm like, this is so hard, these questions.
But it's good, no?
When you say a group piece, are we all moving together as one in a sort of crystal pipe scenario?
It's like in the programme, this is a solo, this is a group piece. This is what I mean. So that can look like whatever you want it to look like.
I'll go with group piece.
Okay.
Well, the energy of moving in like Crystal's work and being in a team that's like, and you make the breath is important, the count.
Okay, that's for you to dance in.
You're making me sell myself on things. So like I'm convincing myself with group and I'll walk out and go, oh, I should have done the song.
Listen, I'm just here. I'm just trying to find out this or that. Okay,
Cool.
I'm going to put the same question, but you're creating. Create a solo or create a group piece.
Create a group piece.
Okay, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I think not that it's easier. There's just a little bit more accessible in the creative.
It's actually hard to access. It's hard to access a group of dancers. You know, a solo, I'm creating solos quite a lot at the moment, whether it's for small engagements or just my own research we did recently. Oh God, did I say research? I don't believe in dance research. We'll come back to that.
Wait, what? Okay, fine.
We'll talk about R&D.
You don't like R&Ds?
We'll come back to that.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say group, because it's so hard to achieve multiple. I mean, I'll tell you right now, on budgets, the second you hit 10 in the spreadsheet, 10 dancers achieving that, 10 times the cost, 10
this
times
is all hypothetical,
yeah,
though.
sorry, yeah.
This is
Are
all
these supposed to be yes, no?
Yeah, well, you just choose one or the other, really. But I like the explanation and the thought process behind it.
I want it all. There can be no...
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Performing or choreographing? You can only choose one.
Damn.
And I have to ask you this question. Really? That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Just because you do a lot that facilitates other people to perform now.
The platform I'm building doesn't exist. It wasn't there for me. What I thought dance was going to be isn't really there. And I think that performing...
Wait, what do you mean by that?
I thought performing in this dance ecology and universe that we're all in meant one thing.
Okay.
And I learned that it meant another.
Sure.
And it can mean a lot of things. So in a world where we've built that platform, I would love to perform. I'd love to do it all again. But the reality is that's not there right now.
But there could be an opportunity for that,
well,
maybe.
I'm still, when I compare, I'm kind of performing, you know. And actually, a lot of people say, oh, how do you remember the script and whatever? Maybe I'm not performing because I'm just being myself and saying the thing, I guess. But I do like to go out in front of an audience because my personal belief and private thing is that, like, I've always felt very connected to audiences. Like, I felt more than just they like it. I forge deep narratives on the responses. I feel like that was caused by that thing that happens over there on that count. And if you time it right, you can grow that response bigger, things like this. So,
oh, wow. Okay, yeah. The
performing
analysis
is like
deep.
the arena, right?
Okay.
So it's great to be in the arena.
Sure.
So for this one podcast, I'll say performing.
Okay, were you someone who stood at the front of the class or the back of class?
Stand where you need me to stand.
No, your personal choice. Like, you come in, open class. Are you at the front of the class or the back of the class?
I think that's my answer. I stand where you need me to stand. I mean, in the class then, it doesn't make a difference where I am.
Okay.
Because the class is your practice and it's your job to deliver your practice. Where you stand in the room. I mean, let's be real. Are you standing at the front because that's where the space was or because you want to show the teacher or the director?
It could be multiple things.
It's a lesson I learned a long time ago.
Oh, really?
I will do class for me so that I can be there for you.
And you may be neither, but we're just choosing one or the other.
Okay.
Team Crocs or team sliders? If you had to choose.
Oh, Crocs. I've got Crocs.
Okay,
and my wife
fine.
hates them. And
Really?
it just makes me want to buy more, actually.
It's okay. You're on
Anyone
the
that tells me I can't do something, you're in big trouble because that's the thing I'm going to lean into.
Got
so,
you.
Watch me walk down the street in them.
Yeah.
I go to the dry cleaners in my Crocs sometimes just to be really rebellious.
Oh my gosh, not the Crocs being part of the rebellion. I can't, but you're on the right side for me.
The Crocs are the rebellion.
The Crocs are the rebellion. Ballet or contemporary?
Oh my God,
I have to.
Monique.
I have to.
Is there contemporary without ballet? There's a question.
Oh, for another podcast on another episode.
Well, you know, that question we might have to wait to get an answer to because with what I'm doing, I think we're going to find out.
Okay, fine. Is this sort of like suspense for an announcement that's coming?
I think that the balance of contemporary and ballet will change and it might change the preference. Let's say for now, contemporary.
Again, not the answer I thought you were going to say, but you probably knew that and were like, yeah.
Does it mess the notes up? Is
no,
like,
not
chuck
at all.
That one away?
No, not at all. Okay, final one that I've been asking all of my guests because we do have an episode on finance. Can you guess the average salary of a contemporary dancer? Or what do you think it is?
£16,000 to £18,000 a year.
Wow, someone else said that. What makes you think it's at that number?
Because I'm dealing with freelancers all the time. And actually what I should have said is zero.
Zero?
I think if you
That's not the average.
I think if you average all the people that call themselves professional freelance contemporary dancers, the amount of work they're being told to do for free, do for the opportunity, do for the experience, whatever the number is, or probably half it, whatever the official figure is. You can't track work that isn't being paid for, remember?
No, absolutely.
And
these are, of course, just generalised statistics.
Listen, if it comes to dancers' pay, I'm the hottest on the topic. And that's not something that will come around and bite me in the bum later in the future. Because,
so your number was?
Well, I reckon on an average, those that are making... Was this in London or UK-wide?
Let's do UK-wide and then I'm going to ask you specifically about
London.
London.
I'd say in the UK it certainly isn't meeting the average wage. So it must be somewhere in the either early 20s to late teens. But I wouldn't say it was above 23,000.
Understood. And London?
Well, London's a bit different. You have to make it work. I mean, this is a hot topic for me. I would say there's many dancers in ballet nights who have not received the kind of fees that we pay per show.
Sure.
And it's a great tragedy and something I really carry stress about, that I can't offer a contract. I can't offer a full year of anything.
Right.
My job at Fundamentally Dance at the moment is not to have a full-time standing company. It may be for a full length we've got coming, or 2 or 3 actually.
Oh, let them know.
At the end of the day, I can give some of the most talented dancers I've ever seen 3 or 4 gigs that add up to maybe a decent month's wage.
Right.
That still doesn't carry them through for the year. So I'd be really interested to know what the figure is actually.
Yeah, I can let you know that, but I'm going to have to let you know that off camera.
Oh.
Just because it gets revealed in a different episode. So I've not been telling people on camera apart from one person.
The series is real.
Series is real.
Am I close? Am I in a...
You're within a range of figures that have been said by other people. Because I also walked around Waterloo and just asked random strangers
cool.
if they knew what contemporary dance was.
Yes.
Which was quite interesting. And yeah, like any things that they had seen. And I also asked them to guess the average salary. And so what you've guessed is within sort of similar guesses to people.
I would say it's shocking, probably. And I would also say that whatever it is, the figure is too low.
Okay, fair
and actually,
play.
For ballet, the highest paid ballerina in the world is still not earning what I think they should be.
Okay.
When I say I want the Premier League of dance,
yeah,
I'm not messing around. I want to see figures that footballers could aspire to. Now,
fair play.
It might take a long time to get there.
I mean, dancers would love that.
Well, dance has priced itself down and priced itself out the market to the point that, we've gone so far down that we're cannibalising our own experiences at this point. And the amount of do it for the opportunity work that's coming, it actually tarnishes experience that you don't do for the money. So there's a difference between I have you like a friend and I'm thinking of an idea and you're quite willing to come and do something. Someone else from the outside, it's another unpaid opportunity.
Right.
There are scenarios where you would do something like that.
No,
and
I
it's
agree.
a different kind of relationship.
I agree.
But the amount of do it for the opportunity because you'll be featured next to, I don't know, I'm not saying this is the case, like Dua Lipa or something.
Right.
It's kind of devastating. And actually a lot of ballet dancers will not do that. And they will say absolutely not. Because maybe there's a more established, longer standing pay structure for that particular art form. The mistake is people who go into ballet's got it on it, on a plate, golden shoes and whatever.
Is this what people are saying? Okay.
I would say that's the general feeling I encounter, that contemporary, ballet has it all sorted. I think it's a mess in ballet too. I think we aren't anywhere near where we could be. And that's changing. We'll see. Watch your space. Shout out to Equity for setting minimums. But,
fair play.
Let's get enthusiastic about those. Let's see what we can do. Let's move those up.
I do definitely think that those minimums can absolutely be increased.
Well, it's an equilibrium. Ticket prices needs to go higher. You're not seeing the best of anything for £10 if your ticket price is less than the tube ticket.
But then it gets hard though, because I understand if you're thinking about like business side of things, you're like ticket prices go up and this, that, and the other. Then we are outpricing various different communities.
Are we?
Coming in. Yeah, you are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about access then. Wait, it's your podcast.
It is, right? But not the pivot into access.
Can I ask you a question?
You can indeed.
Okay, so Premier League football.
Okay.
How much is a ticket?
I don't know because I don't really go to football games.
Let's say £160 for a decent ticket.
Yeah.
Still pretty much sitting on either plastic or concrete. £160.
Yeah.
What can you find in every single school in the UK and potentially Europe and potentially the world? What can you find in every single school? Goalposts and a ball.
Okay, fine.
Right?
Sure.
That's a level of access that is created by a multi-billion-dollar industry. It builds you a pathway towards an aspiration. If you price dance so low that budgets start to slip, government funding hasn't shifted, it's not moved with inflation, you're in a situation where you're pricing yourself down and down and down and down and down, and you're kind of fighting over scraps. I want a seat at the table where they're talking about movie rights, film rights, music rights, you name it, in the millions, in the billions. And I think the way to get there is to price the experience as something aspirational and then create on top of that the opportunity. So yes, there should be schools who are given access and there should be these kind of things. But I take issue with low ticket prices. I also take issue with the kind of scratch night ticket prices because the best thing you've ever seen in dance could happen at one of those things. But in the reality, in the consumer market, at a £5 to £10 price point, that's less than the cost it took you to get there, zone 4 to 1.
Right.
It's very hard to accept that that is the best experience if you're members of the public who are looking for social proof. One of the big turning points for ballet nights, our ticket prices have always been face value is true value. You know, the true value of the ticket is, let's say, £70 to get the best in the world in a 300-seater. And then the price is £70. And maybe for some it's £150 because they get to sit 1 metre from the experience. In these other places, the price might be £10, which is great, but it should at least say this ticket is £70 and the government's meeting this much and Barclays is meeting this much. Or other options are available. And I think that we might not be educating audiences about what the costs are, right? Because at the end of the day, if there's no revenue, there's
expensive, no... But in that same breath, like I understand that. I do think that we could be making things that are of a higher ticket price, for sure. I'm not saying get rid of it completely, but I'm also like, just upping the ticket prices might not be the sole solution, because there are other connections to ostracizing communities that perhaps only feel just included in this way. Now, I know dance is expensive to make. Yeah. If we're just profit driven, if we're just focusing on like, yes, we need successful business models. I think in the dance industry, we can work on having more successful business models because, the way things are structured, it's mainly funding based, grant based and things like that. Finding business models that allow us to create our own revenue. So perhaps there's an opportunity for independence alongside grant funding and things like that is absolutely fantastic. However, within that, I do think it's important to make sure that dance is accessible. And by, some people might sit in second circle the whole time they come to the theatre and their ticket might be a tenner, but they still come to the theatre. It starts a journey that encourages more people to partake in it in the long run, rather than just... I see
where you're going, and it's the right intention. What I would argue back is this. I mean, if you come to ballet nights, anyone under the age of 16 is walked backstage to meet the stars of the show for a start.
And what if they don't want to do that?
Well, if they don't want to do it, they don't know. It's not like a requirement. But, ballet nights is all about, proximity. For a long time, we thought it was sitting close to the stars that would bring that proximity. It's actually storytelling. Yeah. So the compare, the program, all of that. But what I'm finding is that, let's talk about, for instance, fundraising and donors. Okay. At the moment, donors and fundraisers can often power the main ship. Now, you said the word profit, and what I've learned over the last year and a half is language is important. Okay. There's a difference between profit and revenue. And actually, in a charity situation, the goal is to break even. It's not to make tons of profit. You still need a revenue channel that is generating enough revenue to maybe cover the main goose, let's say. Then the ducklings, I don't know if geese don't lay ducks. What's the baby goose called?
I have no idea.
Gooselings.
No, it can't be gooselings.
Let's get the main experience paid for. Okay. And then bring the donors and supporters in to cover the most unbelievable access you've ever seen. Let's say a donor gives £20,000 to make a production possible. Imagine that £20,000 going to access because the main production actually doesn't need the support. You're there to, maybe you have a particular voice you want to see heard, a community that isn't being seen, that isn't being given access, like you said. Maybe that's where the money goes. And actually the main experience becomes something that the wider public support, like a football match. There's a misconception that money is associated with profit. Money very often isn't the problem here as well, by the way. Cash flow is the issue, right? A lot of artists that have great ideas can't get those ideas to market because it's not about having the money to do it, but the cash flow. And those artists that can solve what comes on the other side, is it a show, a performance or whatever, that at least makes some of the money back? Can we get it to break even? If we make a profit, it's usually that profit's going into the next thing, right? There's very few dancers who are like, I will make everything on this one thing and take all of that and go on holiday. I mean, maybe there's a few.
Yeah, there's many who do that.
Oh, really? Okay, well,
there's people who do that for sure.
That's personal choice, I guess. But I think
because it depends what people's goals are. And I think it's like, whilst I'm hearing everything that you're saying, and I can see that within the foundations of what you're building and like the focus and the goal, it's also just like, sometimes like dance is fun. Dance can be fun. Dance can just be experienced. Yes, there are like business models and various different things that we need to be mindful of. Language is extremely important. But this is why I think, and I don't know, maybe it's to my detriment, I have no idea, but I'm also just like, once things become just like, not mechanical, but that's the word that's come to mind at the moment, you've lost the essence of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
I'm out there hearing what people are saying with the students, with those who are new to dance, with those who don't know nothing about the theatre. And I'm always like, is that the first port of call? Unsure with where that sits.
No, I don't. I think we're basically vehemently agreeing about everything, because
Sure.
I guess what I'm saying to you is this. Of course, we wouldn't expose those we're giving access to the inner business workings of the revenue stream that's led to this, and actually I would argue this, if it is about access and there are underrepresented communities that need to be seen, they shouldn't be paying anything. It shouldn't be a reduced ticket price, it should be free. How are you going to balance that within your budget? And actually, forget profit, revenue, whatever. If we come to just the budget itself, maybe that's where some people need to surrender their dance career, their choreographic dreams, their hopes and whatever, and move to a place where they can be effective. And there's nothing wrong with being the best budgeter in dance, the best marketer in dance. I'm not here to be right or wrong about anything, but I think shining a light on the structures that lead us into these opportunities, if it doesn't happen now, it could be too late. And I think we're moving towards the too late.
Yeah.
Because I'm at plenty of unbelievable experiences that aren't sold out.
Yeah.
And those people that are there don't value the experience because they haven't paid enough, or they don't see the value in that experience being worth their time. You'd be very, well, I don't know if you would, but many people would be very happy to pay an extra £50 on £150, £200 because of, they do this thing with last minute tickets going up.
Yeah.
To see Taylor Swift live, you get the last 2 tickets,
Right.
And I think that that's what we're up against. So we can talk about this access argument, but don't forget what we're up against. And actually, if the main thing goes away, you're not getting access to anything because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, again, not here to right now say this is the solution or this is my absolute position, but these are the conversations happening 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Fundamentally Dance every day. And I think it's certainly a good thing to have a dedicated group of passionate people and driven people, but also focused people, because passion can often be the enemy of success, I've seen and learned. It's a coincidence. It's a side effect that we do have numbers that could rival an Arts Council awarded grant company.
You're a private organisation.
Yeah,
so tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, sure. So,
since we're here, why not?
Well, let's do it. Let's get into it. Everybody that knows about ballet nights or is hearing about ballet nights, that is essentially its own limited company. It's a private company that has a product, and the product is ballet nights. And we've trialed different products like New Voices or masterclasses, or we did a podcast actually. But the one that fits in a box and you can push a button and it happens, and it features all kinds of exciting artists, but theatres understand it, bookers understand it, internationally it's understood. What it does, what it will bring to you, how it affects audiences. It's a product in a box. You can pretty much, it sounds heartless, but you can kind of push a button and there will be a ballet night. That's one product. Fundamentally Dance, which is the kind of the overall production house, the Disney of dance, if you like.
Okay.
I've brought my own label under that. So I've put my faith and my belief where my mouth is. Jameil Lawrence Creation, which is the talent incubator. That's now powered by Fundamentally Dance. There's your Intium, what is it? Intel Pentium, in the corner you used to get, like powered by Intel.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That's your powered by Fundamentally Dance, Jameil Lawrence Creation. There are other big labels I can't announce here, names you've heard of who have personal brands like that will move into this system.
Lovely.
We give them the marketing. We've got the HQ in East London. We've got the know-how on how to magnify. We're not here to take what they've already got and take a profit on that. We're there to magnify.
Right.
And the fully functional ecology that's in the works, some I can announce, some I can't, features full-length productions that will tour Europe, that will tour America. We're not yet set on anything touring the UK, but we're hopeful we can achieve something.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to have products. And I know that, the word commercial, the word product, I've seen it set some choreographer's hair on fire.
Sure.
It's like, it's immediately received as this huge issue.
Yeah, it's not language that we like to float around in the dance industry.
No, but you're wearing...
Because we're dealing with artists.
Right, but you're wearing a tracksuit made by Nike, you're wearing a T-shirt made by Uniqlo. These are products that you've bought in a shop that through their brand ecology and marketing have convinced you to purchase them. I'm all about audiences, and so are my team. We want a fully functional Death Star of an ecology that reaches these audiences. And the most important thing I could say on this podcast is this. The competition for dance is not other dance. It's all the other things people could be doing with their spare time. Right. And it drives me absolutely bonkers when I speak to theatres who are worried about competition with other ballet companies or there's all these other things you can do now and people aren't waiting around. You've seen these Christmas experiences underground in an underground bar with an actor and it's falling on your head, the snow.
Yeah, immersive stuff. Everyone's really into immersive things at the moment.
These are the people that are going to start sucking up new and exciting audiences. dance has always had the power to do it. That's how we got here.
Yeah.
I think we forgot how we got here. And being with the same 1,000 people at Sadler's Wells where we pretty much all know each other.
Shame.
We're not, well, I'm just saying we're not doing it for that, you know, we're celebrating it together, but we got to get these audiences in.
Okay, so you're talking about so many like amazing things, but for someone who's starting out and wanting to go on this journey, like how did you go from the idea of ballet nights to this system where there's an umbrella and then there's this and there's this and there's funding, for someone who's trying to get there and they're seeing what it is that you're doing, they'll be like, well, how on earth did you manage that?
Interesting. Without going too much into detail, I went right into the hole. Like I went so deep and I thought it was the end of everything.
What do you mean by that? Just because we're talking about paving your own path.
Defeat. I suffered a level of disappointment. I basically went beyond my threshold for failure.
Okay.
At the time, I thought money was the problem. I thought, you know, never mind the fact I couldn't pay my bills because of the fact I'd, you know, been there. I thought money and dance was the problem. The Arts Council didn't give me the money, or a sponsor wouldn't give me the money, and that's why it wasn't working. And it forced me to listen to the kind of, you know, the thinkers of today in various business spaces about how do you take an idea and deliver it to market.
So we're here to talk about paving our own path, and you've spoken about many things that are, I guess, from a place of established knowledge with ballet nights, with these other things that you're doing. You have a lot of knowledge around it, but for someone who is maybe fresh out of school or has been just performing and hasn't explored, maybe starting their own thing, kind of like disrupting the dance world to find new paths, like what would you say to them? Like, how would they get started? Because they can see what you're doing, but it's like from where I am in my living room to where you are, that might look like a long road.
Well, listen, I do sit in my living room sometimes, but
not sometimes.
Disruption is a good word, actually. It's an interesting question because it's something I'm fielding a lot to a lot of young freelancers who are saying to me, "Is it this easy?" Because I do talk in a way that's like A plus B equals C. Yeah. And A plus B doesn't always equal C. But I would say that one of the things that I had to learn to do, which actually I'm observing is not always the case, is take a position. If you don't take a position, by the way, you have to be happy to be wrong. So I'll take a position and walk it back straight away. If I find out what I've said is actually the opposite, right? You know, this market is this way and you do it this way. I'm very happy to find out before that I'm wrong than go there, mess it up, lose money on that.
Okay, fine,
and then come back and say, actually, my position was wrong. But yeah, I do think you do have to take a position, however, otherwise you're nowhere. Where is the gravity? Yeah. You know, if you say, I am here, then of course, oriented around you, other things can be. Now, I'm going to say some stuff that I don't want people to get angry about. Oh, okay. Especially if they associate what I'm about to say with their own personal living situation and difficulties.
Everyone be ready, because I don't know what he's about to say.
No, but my point is this, like, let's focus in on what we're trying to do. So should we go down the route of choreographer, for example? Okay, fine. How do I get booked? How do I get work? How do I...
Yeah. This would be good.
Money isn't the problem.
Okay.
Often cash flow is the problem. And the way to know what that cash flow problem is to have a plan. I speak to many choreographers. Let's say I had a room of 100. Yeah. And I'll say, okay, great. Who in here is a choreographer? 100 hands up. How many of you are regularly practicing choreography? Let's say 20% exit the room. So they've said they're a choreographer, but actually they're waiting for something to happen. Right. So now we have the 80 left. Then of that 80, I say, who's got something in the 3-minute mark? Maybe a solo. Let's say another 20 exit the room. We're down to 60. By that point, there's usually about that number that have something. Yeah. Has anyone ever staged, put anything on that's filmed or I can see that's in the 5-minute mark? 50% of that room walk out straight away. Right. I'm now left with 30. Okay, well, for this opportunity, that's what I need. And as you've seen with ballet nights, we've staged a lot at that level. Right. And we get another layer deeper, which we can do, which is, does it have costumes? You know, is it going to work in this particular thing? I need to see it. There needs to be a filter of curation. And that's where I ask my 3 key questions, which tend to be just in brief. What are you trying to say? Yeah. What is the audience invite? So why would our audience want to see this work? Sure, yeah. And what's it going to do? And I'm that bit, which is it's going to do a ballet nights. Unless it's, you know, it might be something else. And if it's in a sort of...
Because you've got different structures to which to house things.
If it's in a vacuum, and I had a friend that came in and wanted projections on major buildings down a high street, which, by the way, cool idea that we still haven't quite delivered yet. Okay. But that's a what's it going to do, for example. Yeah. So then I've got 30 left in the room that have a 5-minute work. And let's say of that, I'm allowed to pick 5. Yep. for that first opportunity, and then there's more coming. And it is difficult to say to people, not now, but it's not if, it's when. But let's go a layer deeper. Okay, has anyone got anything that features dancers of this caliber?
Right.
Now we're, again, halving that number to 15. People that are committed, trained, they're going to do something very impressive that's going to blow people out their seats, which at the moment is the key thing with the show I've got. Other shows, it might be about longevity, stamina, fine. But for this show, something impressive. Something that's going to make people cry, laugh, stand, clap, ask questions. With the 15 that are left, let's move to the 10-minute mark. Might be one left, maybe two. And have they made it happen? Even less. As a commissioning body, I need to see a plan.
Right.
I need a realistic list of, quite frankly, costs. You know, it's all well and good to come in and say we're going to land a hot air balloon in the middle of the stage.
What sort of costs are you looking at? Like how many dancers,
let's make it really
rehearsals?
simple. Well, let's make it really simple.
Well,
if you can do anything on this planet that can make someone £12 million, then you can keep 11. Maybe even 11 3/4.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, there's a difference between choreography and being a professional choreographer. And at the end of the day, if we're going to use the word professional and we're going to talk about a job, then a job exists in a market. And that market is looking for products. And then we're back to the same thing, which is product, market, fit. I'm part of that market. I need products that are this length, that go in that show on these dates and need to meet these criteria. There are many commissioning bodies who are doing this very differently. They're saying you can make whatever you like. You get 2 weeks, you get dancers, we'll cover your food or whatever. You'll do some research and we'll create some stuff. And then that's the experience. And they can say to their donors that we're creating these opportunities. And then I always ask at these things, great, where's it going next? It's very strange how many people don't think about these things as assets, actually, is what I was going to say.
Sure.
Let's talk about Pet Claws and Night. Pet Claws and Night have been one of the most powerful forces within ballet nights, and we've really galvanised their support and given them a platform.
Right.
But they've also created products that live on our platform that otherwise may not have been as successful. They have a cupboard full of works, whether they're 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 20 minutes. I'm someone that needs to present to an audience works that are 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and maybe a full evening.
Right.
They went the extra mile. They've been all around the world, not always being paid, and going into markets that never even see contemporary dance. They're real pioneers. What they had to do was begin to build that product, and then they can take that product into the market.
And was that, I don't want you to speak on their behalf, but obviously we don't have them in the room, but was that them just exploring, creating what they were interested in by themselves and having that ready so that when they did come into communication with you, it was like ready to go?
Yeah, well, it was a simple question, which is I threw down the gauntlet rather and said, who has this? And there it was. And some artists had, I need a little bit of a nudge to get it over the line,
right?
Which is where we say, okay, well, if we support this work, can we take it to our show in Brisbane, Kuala Lumpur, wherever, New York?
Yeah.
And that way we make the money back over time.
Right.
In ballet, a lot of the dancers start cataloguing solos they've danced. And they ask that choreographer for permission and say, if so-and-so gala lets us, asks us or invites us, can we do that solo? And they get a license, the choreographer, and of course the performer gets the performance fee. That's another way of finding a product. Have you been to ballet nights yet?
I haven't. I've been on tour.
So I walk out and I say, welcome to Ballet Nights. I'm Jamiel. And tonight we're going on a journey through new discoveries, emerging voices, legacy classics, modern masterpieces, and featuring world stars.
Yeah.
Those are 5 very clear categories. And actually, there are people that fit in some of those categories and not others.
Yeah.
Actually, there's almost no one that fits in all of them. You can't really be a world star dancing a legacy classic that's also a new voice that's emerging. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There are things that are conflicting.
I'm starting to try and unlock this idea of how do I get from wanting to do something to doing something. We built a structure that investors understood.
Right.
And we said, by this time, we will have done this many shows. We'll have demonstrated these trends. I mean, I'm not going to lie, we didn't hit all of our targets.
Yeah.
We landed a lot of big PR stunts. We did a show at Ministry of Sound.
Yeah, I did see that.
Who were very supportive because
But did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them?
So it happened by accident. It was kind of an AI, actually. We went on a venue scouting app. I didn't really know how it worked, but sort of Olivia Godwin, who's our kind of London, well, she's pretty much now a London producer. She basically said, we're going to Ministry of Sound tomorrow. And I was like, what? Ministry couldn't wait to meet us. And we really went there with like it's kind of shifted recently, this kind of desperation of we want to do something. But we got there and they wanted us to do it. They were like, we're going to support you, we're going to make it happen. There's never been a ballet show at Ministry of Sound. Let's go. And when you've got Joshua Juncker, who's just been made a junior soloist at the Royal Ballet, and he's doing a solo with a crowd of young people, trying to see the stage. They love the fact they can't see properly, you know, because that's like a gig. What a moment in time for dance, right? All of a sudden, it's like, okay, what are we giving audiences that puts us alongside the football experience, the Formula One experience, the gig experience? There's people out there that can do that maybe might be able to do it better than me. And we need to know.
Right.
We want to hear about this. The recent call out for a dancer's audition has seen over 800 people apply.
That's fantastic.
We'll find out how many more after this, because every day it's another 50 or something.
How long have you got left?
Right up until November.
Oh, wow.
I think
so
a week before November 12th and 13th, where I need to see all the talent. But my point is, before that, when we were just getting started, I did send out very clear instructions. I said on dancing opportunities, do you have short form works? Do you want to pitch ideas? We're looking for a complete ecology.
Yeah.
Do you want to be in that ecology? And there's very few people that send in response to this stuff. There might be a lack of trust.
I think it's one of those things where like this stuff is not taught in school. There's a lot of people who start off dancing and then they realise that they like choreographing. It's very like interest led. The sort of business side of it to think, right, I need to have a 3-minute piece. I need to have a 5-minute piece. I need to have a 10-minute piece. You're not thinking about that. You're thinking, you know what, I want to explore this idea and I want to do this, that and the other, which is good because there are spaces in which that can be housed. There's a sort of organic fluidity that is present, especially within the contemporary dance world for sure, of how things are created, that not everything is created for output. Some things are just created for the experience. Like, you know, there's all of this type of stuff. But I do want to ask, because you've got Lantern Studio space, how important was having that space in allowing you to facilitate being used as a springboard to kind of get to where you are? Because, you know, not everyone has access to a space.
Do you know what? It's not what you think, actually. It's interesting, this question.
I don't know. I'm just offering it out.
I've run Lanterns since I was 18.
Yeah.
So I grew up at Lanterns. It's a community centre, East London Community Centre. My mother was teaching the £2.50 ballet class, like literally since 1980 something. The reason there's a theatre up there at the top of this community space is that space needed to be used for something. And they'd said to Lanterns, to my mother's company, that, you know, we're going to put something up there. If you don't do something with it. And my mother, Janet Viola, she was having none of that. She was like, right. And she phones me up and I've just joined Scottish Ballet and she's like, you're going to learn to rent that space and you're going to run it as a theatre. It's become a kind of key place. And when I came back from a very, very, very dark place, everything had gone wrong. I had no income. I had no hope. I ran this intensive in 2023.
Yeah.
At that point, it was a key asset because I was given support by Lanterns to do it.
Right.
But at the same time, it's a business I built from scratch. What I will say is, you know, having access to the venue is one thing, which was a big moment with the investor, because actually having your own miniature opera house where you can develop your own stuff and film and perform as we did is a massive asset. However, I want to make it absolutely clear, no one has paid more for that space. Like, my mother is the reason I am the way I am. She has never once made it easy for me because she wants me to learn how to work in business, you know. Let's
just talk about the international gigs that you're now doing with Ballet Nights.
Why are we moving internationally and how are we getting access to Bali, Malaysia?
This is great. Yeah. But what did they do? Did they email? Did they call?
It's like I said, that is their career.
So it's from their network. So it's about...
They are building network. They are finding ways. You know, it's interesting. Is it a call? Is it an email?
Well, I'm just
let's find out.
I'm like simple terms. Do you know what I mean? Because it's also one of these things where like you have students around you coming to classes and various different things, maybe pitching ideas to you. I teach in quite a lot of the schools, guest teaching every now and again. Sometimes people ask like, oh, do you have any advice of like how to do this and how to do this? And actually, you know, some of the routes that maybe when I was graduating of like, there's an apprenticeship here, you can go and take class here in the contemporary world specifically, or like company class or this and this. Sometimes those routes aren't as uncovered because the industry is shifting differently. Definitely. You know, there's lots of companies doing a lot more project-based things. So this is why I'm like, is it an email? Is it a call? Like, some people are going to be like, I need simple information.
I'm not expecting someone who's a student that's just starting out to be as, you know, but you know yourself that there are things you can do that get you to where you want to be that don't look like what everyone else is doing. And of course, disruption, moving in a space in a new way is key. I welcome conversations, not just with us, but in general, have those conversations about the reality. I mean, Rambert School, which might be pound for pound one of the strongest schools potentially in the world right now, not just for contemporary dance, but for dance.
Yeah.
I'm amazed when their third years say things like, well, my portfolio for the next 5 years, I'm aiming to achieve this, this and this. Oh my God, the next generation has it already.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, if this doesn't work, I feel like there's another wave coming. You know, I'm not under any illusion or complex that it's this or nothing else.
No. But there are always cycles with artists and things like that. There's always new ideas. There's new waves of things. What sort of qualities do you think a person needs on this creative entrepreneurial journey to make it last? Because there's going to be highs and lows. Like, what sort of qualities?
Ego is the enemy.
Okay.
Pride and passion are great, but can become the enemy. The first one's a book. The last two I said are in the book.
Okay.
There's going to be some really hard moments. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm starting to find myself in these other scenarios where I observe, there are things that have been said to me that aren't offensive,
Right.
but are business, that other artistic directors might turn around and say, I can't work like this.
Right.
I will not have my judgment called into question. But actually waking up every day and kind of saying, I know nothing, and taking everything as it comes. There's been some unusual pairings that we've put on where people have said, I thought you didn't like that stuff. Or even sometimes I thought you didn't like that person.
Right.
Blank canvas, always. There's never been a single time I've, I don't know, blacklisted anyone or anything like that.
Okay. Let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah. No, it will stay that way.
No, but listen, it's good. Like, we can't be blacklisting people out.
Well, Monique Jonas hasn't yet given me a work in the show, so I'm not sure about her.
Do you know what? But you said about 3 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, that's not been my focus. So, I've listened to what your structure is when I've got the things that
just
I feel
to say, you are a
appropriately.
super choreographer. I've had you at Jameil Lawrence Creation, and we did a class choreo capture
We
together.
did do a class choreo
There's
capture.
a good product market fit. People need videos.
Yeah.
People are happy to pay for class, and for an extra 25 quid, you'll get it filmed, sent to you, and you can use it in a show reel.
This is why it made sense to a lot of people to come in and partake. And
Wish I could do more of those, actually. I haven't done one of those in quite a while.
yeah, if you've got space in the diary, why not?
Well, if you've got space in the diary.
Well, I won't be the only one.
Yeah, that's true.
There's going to be other artists.
That's true.
Many people would have done it with me, so they'll probably be looking.
Name drop one right away. Who should I go with?
Oh, I don't know. There's Liam Francis.
Done.
Someone else who's great, Vidya Patel. I mean, I could give you a list of loads of different people.
I like it. Let's go.
Which is really good. What would you say is like the most valuable lesson you've learned so far on your journey?
I love my wife.
Okay.
That family is everything. The most important thing I've learned on this journey.
Yeah, as a creative entrepreneur, as a person, whichever way that you'd like to take that, but something that you're like, yeah, I hold this really dear moving forward.
I think that I really pride myself.
Hmm.
I just said the word pride, so I've broken my own rule, but I do pride myself on making sure that everyone involved understands their value and feels valued.
Okay.
And there's been times on this journey when it doesn't matter how great a person you are, even if you write it down or use Motion AI app to keep track of what you're doing. I'm always plugging them. They should sponsor me. There are moments in the heat where you are just one person and you will make mistakes. And I think the thing I've learned is to always take the time to ensure that even that person that you don't see, maybe you only meet them online, feels connected to the fact that we are very literally engineering trying to change the world. I'm really in a continuous thing of work, go to Sadler's Wells, come back, speak to a choreographer, speak to that person, go to bed, wake up, do it all again. I really value getting to see people, even when it is for work, actually.
Yeah.
And there's people that are making this the most wonderful journey ever. And there's obvious ones like getting to see my mum in the front of the audience in her own theatre as well. Royal Ballet Stars performing. That's not something I don't think we ever thought was going to be a thing.
Right.
Probably doesn't faze her, but I think it's great. There's the obvious stuff like that. But also like, there's students that have come into the coaching ecology as a result of this and seeing the advantage they have of getting to watch like Melissa Hamilton do Dying Swan and work on point and getting to see that effect.
Yeah.
I'm also forever grateful to the investors, to the people that have put the belief in what not just I'm doing, but the entire team's doing. And I used to thank them very emotionally and live on stage. And actually they did say, we don't need to do that anymore. We've got it, it's in the program. Yeah, they get it. But it is so amazing because I've said money isn't the problem, but the people that provide that money once you solve that, I don't think they'll ever know what an impact they're having. And I speak to my investors every day. Right. One day, recently, 6 times.
Wow.
I've closed that deal with a choreographer, which means this. They've never been seen for the last, we've achieved a UK premiere.
Oh, so you're keeping them updated.
Do you know what
happening?
that means? Yeah, because I think the things are so intangible. That's what I'm saying. It's not about money.
And we have a section on this podcast called Know Your Worth. Because, I feel like dancers can know their worth a lot more in many different areas of the industry. So the question I have for you is like, how do you know your worth in dance or in the arts?
Well, let me tell you, I wasn't made to feel worthy of anything or that I had any worth, and I'm very happy to say that. There's some shots fired. When I know my worth is when someone comes to me and addresses me by name and they know what I've been doing. And whether they like it or not is the next thing. We'll get to that level. I actually had someone very lovely.
Yeah.
Wasn't for me, the show.
Oh, really?
I literally was like, thanks. I think I feel my worth, and I feel my worth with the other names too.
Yeah.
When people, you see someone go up, excuse me, are you Sang-Yin Lee?
Yeah.
Actually, probably be up there because she's 6'5" or
Oh,
whatever.
well.
But, you know, are you Sang-Yin Lee? Could I have my picture with you?
Right.
At ballet nights, we do photos with the artists.
As part of the experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
sign the programs.
Okay.
You know, like I said, the not obligatory but optional children come and meet the artist backstage.
Yeah. So someone's like, come and meet this. I'll be like, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, the young ballerinas love it. If you get to see Yasmin and Reese, I think they were a big hit, actually. There was a queue to get a photo with them.
Yeah. I think it's lovely. I'm not knocking that at all, but I'm just aware that also, you know, that will be for some people and it won't be for others. And this is why
That's because we know what goes on in the dressing room, hot, sweaty, quick change.
Yeah. But it's also one of those things where it's like, it's good to have different people on this podcast to talking about their perspective, talking about the things that they're focusing on. So that even if people are like, yeah, I can't relate one bit to anything that we've been talking about, they might be able to relate to someone else who perhaps has got a different approach. It's knowing that like no two journeys within the industry are the same. It's about creating a sort of like plethora of dance experiences, performances, high caliber things, community-based things that hopefully, you know, different people can find the strand that suits them. But I think as artists, we can definitely know our worth.
I think in hindsight, watching this back, when I've kind of got there for my first holiday, we'll see how I feel about it. But right now, you are catching me sliding down the water slide at 100 miles an hour, trying to take control of turns that are completely out of my control, because the format, the idea works, and actually now other people take it. Yeah. And one of the hardest things to do will be when I stop hosting the show, because in reality, if we've got 3 shows on around the world at the same time,
you won't be able to host all of them.
Listen, if there was a way, I'd find it. You know, it's going to be
plane to plane to plane to plane.
Well, again, doing a call out right now. We're going to need more hosts and training.
Go on, let them know.
I did. You missed
it.
Did you?
Yeah, sorry.
No, I feel like training those people up will be really satisfying. So that's quite exciting too, and that's probably part of this next chapter, basically. But it's been a massive year. We've output 8 programs, 15 shows, 109 artists fielded. All the other things from the AGM a few days ago. I'm just trying to.
I was waiting for the figure rollout. I was waiting for it.
But you know, it's a lot, right?
Yeah,
but is it? And this is the thing, and this is where actually my own team get frustrated, because I'm like, well, is it actually? How do we feel? Do we feel like that was the most we could do? Where can we go next? And it'll be interesting to find where the ceiling is and then break through it again and again and again. I'd love to set up a team in Miami, in New York, in Malaysia, like we are, that actually eventually they field their own ballet nights, and then some of the international artists can filter to these places. I mean, what an ecology to be a part of. Yeah. And that's before we get to the full length and the other stuff.
Oh my gosh. And so it really just sounds like you're cultivating like a big disruptor to how the dance world has known to operate for a while. It's not a negative thing, but it's just like you're challenging the ways that we experience dance, the way that we think about the products, like the deliverable aspect of dance as well, you know?
I see what you're saying.
To make that internationally as well. So I think, you know...
My devil horns go on. Like, I see what you're saying, and I'm going to disagree with you.
Oh,
I actually think a lot of what we're doing is old technology dressed up as new technology.
Interesting.
These companies have not existed that long. I think the oldest is 200 years. That's a lot. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I was going to say
but
200
even
years
then,
is a
there's
while.
banks that are literally beyond that. So I think my point is this. Companies that are in their 50th year, their 80th year and whatever, those companies could close if they make the wrong decisions.
Right.
It's, you know, look at London City Ballet has come back. Now, I thought that was something that, you know, small thing, and it had to go. And when I went to the show, I couldn't believe it. Princess Diana was the patron. There was a company of like 30 in the images that I saw. It's a big thing. This would be like if Rambert closed tomorrow. I think remembering how we got here, especially the choreographers, like it's unbelievable to me that I can't go and see Christopher Bruce 3 times a year. Remembering how we got here, these things were built, and now there are custodians of these things who, I'm not saying do a good or bad job, but in this really challenging climate, are we making the decisions that ensure longevity, basically? Or is it pressures because of funding, like you said, where actually the funding is saying you must do 3-5 things a year, you're not allowed to sit on one. There's plenty of sellout 5-star shows that have to go in a box and can't come out for 3 years.
Yeah.
I wonder a lot about that. And actually, should we be saying maybe to the Arts Council, if you give us that funding, not only will we do this, this and this, but it will create that, that and that.
Yeah.
I think we've got into a strange place with applications. And that's why, you asked about how do you get the thing going.
Absolutely.
Very controversial advice. I wouldn't start applying for Arts Council funds unless you have a specific alignment with what they're funding at the moment. I would look to unusual spaces. Like if you're doing a piece that involves the mixing of chemicals or something, could you associate that with cooking? Could you go to a restaurant? Could that restaurant use that piece to open their brand new menu?
Right.
I mean, already there's an idea. Take it, just go. But, there's another one. How do we ask the Arts Council for money for a piece that involves a certain sort of area of mental health? And I thought, why don't you ask that charity, actually, that focuses on that particular topic? And that's an obvious connection, and it's not obvious to everyone.
Absolutely. I think that's a lot of food for thought for people, actually, and it's a really nice note to kind of land on, because I think because we'll be able to like start off so many different conversations exploring, because it's more than a one-time thing.
I'm the tangent queen, so sorry.
Are you?
Yeah, just off I go on the
No, but I think that's a really lovely way to encourage people to think about alternative routes, to maybe explore their path, whether that's creating, whether that's them as a dancer, looking at choreographers who are creating, getting to know what that is. Yeah, encouraging other people to just think about like, what does that look like on their own journey? What does tomorrow look like for you? Not your end goal, because I think that these goals can shift and move and
for sure
all the time, but just good food for thought to think about how can we move our industry forward. So on that note, I'm going to say a massive thank you for joining me today on the episode.
Anytime.
Lots of fab things to talk about. A perfect opportunity now, I think, for all of you who are watching to just think about, what sort of path do you want to create? Is this a path that you would like to follow? What sort of things resonate with you? And also, what things do you maybe agree with or don't disagree with? And just challenge yourself to think about, what does your path look like? Because no two paths are the same. And this is what we hope to do here at Candid Convos, just show different paths that people are taking and let you know that there are many opportunities for us to make our own mark, both big and small. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.